I'm interviewing Harald V. Christensen of Withee. Harald spelled Harold V. Christensen, Christensen. Harald has been with the mail service here in Withee for many years, and we're going to find out just a little bit about him. First of all, would you tell us where you were born and a little bit about yourself?
Born on the 6th day of November 1906 in Hutchinson, Minnesota.
When did you come to this area?
The 1st of April 1916.
And what did your parents do as an occupation at that time?
Well, prior to moving here, my dad sold Watkins products. And then, of course, he came up here, well, then he started farming.
Where was your farm?
Our farm was a half mile north and 1 mile east of Owen.
What schools did you attend here?
The Owen's public school.
What, grade school, high school?
Yes, I started in the 5th grade, which was held in the old Finney's Church at that time.
So you've seen our schools change quite a bit then?
Yes,
too.
yes.
What type of occupations have you had in your time?
Well, about the only thing I've ever done is just carry mail, I guess. Started there when I was 21 years old.
You want to tell us a little bit about how the mail service has changed since you started out?
Well, I started out with a horse and buggy. That was in the spring, the 26th day of March, 1928. The mud was yea deep. 2 miles of gravel road. I had 24 miles, of which 2 were graveled. The rest of them were just unadulterated Clark County clay.
Did you have 1 horse, 2 horses?
2 horses.
2 horses.
2 horses.
How long did it take you to deliver the mail?
Well, we generally got back about 4 o'clock. We left town at 8:30 every morning.
Do you know how many patrons that you delivered to?
I don't remember at that time. I imagine it must have been 125, 30 patrons. I'm sorry, I don't recall at that time.
How did the postal service, where was the post office?
The first post office I worked in was between Ham's Tavern and Louis Crumb's store in Owen, which burned down about 1932, 33. Burnt. And we moved into the old, what they call the old Adler building at that time. That's just across the street north of the Ham Tavern, where the new post office is now located in Owen. And then in the 1st of July, 1935, I transferred up here. Took Lawrence Hampton's route, which was Route 1 Withee. When I left Owen, I had 35 miles. When I came up here, I had 50 miles.
Did it take you about the same length of time to do the route, or did it take you longer?
You mean after the increase in mileage?
Yes.
No, we made it faster. Mountain we made it faster.
Did you have a faster horse, or?
No, I just used the horse there for that first spring and then the first winter. After that, we got the old-fashioned snowmobiles, which was a detriment to every God-fearing man in the world.
What were your old-fashioned snowmobiles?
Well, they had a runner-like attachment in front where the wheels are, and they were narrowed down to fit the sled tracks. And on back there was a idling wheel and then a drive wheel, and a belt.
How did you keep warm in the winter?
I don't know. I remember one morning I left the Owen post office, 42 below zero, with the old snowmobile. There's no heat in it. You look right down the running board or between the floorboards and see the ground, and there's no heater in there, and we just use water in the radiator.
The post office has the motto, the mail must go through.
Yes.
no matter what.
The rain, wind, I don't remember the exact details.
No, well, when did you then get a car that you actually...
Well, I had a car the first summer, of course. After the mud got through in the spring of the year, then we used our Model T Fords.
And what year would that have been?
Well, the year I started was 1928. So I think I had a 1927 Model T Roadster, if I remember correctly. Or coupe, I should say.
Do you recall what kind of gas mileage you got on it?
No, I don't. The old Model T were not known for gas mileage, but we got along.
I was comparing it with our new cars today.
I think they're about as good as some of them are today. I really do. Yeah.
How did the post office work this? Did they pay you for mileage on your car?
We got 4 cents a mile when I started carrying mail in 1928. 4 cents a mile, and then during the Depression years we were cut down to 1 cent a mile, and in the wintertime they gave us a raise. They raised our money from 1 cent a mile to 1 1/10 cent a mile. Mm. So that was when I started. I had 24 miles. I got 24 cents a day extra for maintenance.
For using your car. Yeah. Are the routes? Do you think the routes longer or shorter today?
Much longer. No comparison. When I started there in 28, I had 24 miles, and when I retired in 67, I had 83.
So each carrier carries a lot more mail to a lot more people.
That's right.
In a bigger area now.
That's right. And they do it easier because of better roads, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, now you celebrated 50 years with working with the post office. What did they give you a special honor for this?
Well, I got a little pin, from the Carriers Association only. I got from the Carriers Association only. I have a pack I got when I retired, of course. The postal department, and then that's.
How many carriers were there, let's say, in 1928?
Well, there is about the same number of carriers than there is now.
How did the people that lived way in the outlying areas, how did they get their
Well,
mail?
they had to walk from their place to a certain point wherever the mail went. Now, you see, they try to give every resident delivery to their driveway as near as possible. That's one of the things which has been a big advancement in rural service. That started about 1960. That started about.
What? Let's see. When I know many times people would order things mail order type. What type of items did you wind up carrying on your sleigh or in your car?
Well, you name it, we carried it. From baby chickens up and down. Of course, there's a limit to how heavy it was, but normally you carried everything that they would ship. You carried thousands of baby chicks, live bees, lots of them in the spring of the year. They weren't pleasure to carry either. I didn't like it, but and of course, years ago we used to pick up an awful lot of eggs. People used to ship a lot of eggs to their relatives who lived in the cities. We used to pick up an awful lot of eggs. Nowadays they don't do that. I had one party out here that used to ship mushrooms to somebody in Chicago, I believe it was. We used to pick them up by the flour sackful, 50-pound sacks of flour. We used to pick up sometimes as high as 2-3 a day from them.
Were they dry or fresh?
They were dried.
They were dried.
He dried them in his basement. He had to sit up there where he dried them. But every fall, we shipped a tremendous amount of mushrooms. I'll bet you I picked up 50, 60 sacks of mushrooms there during that fall year, in the fall year, which is a lot of mushrooms.
Yes, that's a lot, particularly if they're dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a few other ones they shipped, but not like this person did.
Do you think the mail went any faster, or how would you compare the speed of service?
Yes, I think it did go faster, because we had train service. That was the reason why. Because you mail a letter and it went on the train here at Owen. By the time he got down to Spencer, he had that worked ready and put in wherever they had to go, east, west, north, or south. Now you see it goes from here to Warsaw, and then it's worked from there, and then it goes from Warsaw to Minneapolis or Chicago or whichever way direction it goes.
So being a much more modern nation, we really haven't haven't come that far in the
not
mail.
as far as, of course, a lot of tremendous amount of your mail now goes by air. Anything out of say practically the state of Wisconsin goes by air now. But now we can send a letter to Minneapolis and it takes 4 days. You can send a letter to Hawaii and it can be there in 2.
So if it's close by, it'll take longer.
It seems that way.
Uh-huh.
Of course, that's just my observation. That may not be the way the department thinks, but that's all right.
In all honesty. When did Let's see, now in Withee, do you recall when they built the first, or the post office here that you recall?
No, I don't remember the first one. The first one was built here. Well, it must have been prior to 1885. Who was postmaster then, I don't remember. I don't recall of hearing. I know there used to be a Paulson who was postmaster about the turn of the century. That's all I know is hearsay as far as that is concerned. The postmaster that I first remember here was Peter Hansen, Louise Hansen's dad, you know. He was postmaster here in the early 20s, somewhere in that area. Well, about the time I got out of school, he was postmaster here. And the next postmaster that I recall here was I know his name. The dad used to be a painter here. He was a World War I veteran, and he had that until about 1930, in the early 30s there. After the Republicans went out of office there, you know, when Roosevelt came in. And of course he lost his position here too. And then Ed Lennon was postmaster, and then Dorothy Zoba was postmaster. And of course now we've had 2 or 3 postmasters off in the last 3 years.
See, was the post office, I can just recall a post office being near where Doc Johnson has his office. Now, was that the original post office, or was there another one?
No, the first post office that I can remember is in that, used to be a little building right north of where the barber shop is now. There was the post office in there. That, of course, that is torn down now. After the post office moved, they moved into the place next to Doc Johnson. They moved in there about in the early 20s, in there somewhere. And then of course that other old building there was used for a saloon. We had to have up with them too, you know.
Well, yes. When did this new post office, when was that built?
Well, that's about 15 years ago, about. I've been retired now almost 13 years. And I was in the other office there, well, I don't know, 3-4 years before I retired. It's been built a good 15 years.
So would it be in the mid-60s someplace?
I'd say in the mid-60s. Mid-60s, something like that. It's nice, real nice, very comfortable office. We have a little room, but you didn't have the room in the old one up here.
You have room to sort mail.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, the trouble in the old office up here was you had to carry your mail out to the lobby. And, you know, that disturbs people, too, you know, see. And everybody, you know, got to look in and see what's going on, you know. And I mean, that's all right, too. There's no harm in that, you know. But it's much better this way when you have your own entrance, you know, where you can come and go as you please.
You can unload trucks then.
That's right. Everything had to come in through that door up here in the front, see. And that does make a difference sometimes to the public.
Do you recall what the price of stamps were? How much it cost to send a letter when you first started off?
Yeah, it cost 2 cents to send a letter. 1 cent to send a penny postcard. That was a penny postcard.
That was a penny postcard.
Penny postcard. And then you could send a package of £1 from here to St. Paul for 5 cents.
That'll cost you $1.50.
Almost.
I
know it's cost you quite a bit now.
Yeah. Now we're up to the 15-cent letter.
And money orders used to go by their amount. I suppose they do today yet too. But I think it was $5. It cost you up to 2.5 or $5 now. It would cost you either 5 or 6 cents to send a money order. I sent one for my grandson here 2 weeks ago for, what was it, $2.50 or something like that. 55 cents to send the darn money. I hadn't sent what I received was since I left the office, so I did well. But
price of everything has gone up.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember when Sass went from 2 to 3 cents write letter. Nobody's going to ever write letter again. You see what they are today?
And people are writing just as much as they used to.
If not more. And that's all right too. That's all right. We still got the best and the cheapest postal system in the world. No question about it.
Is there any way that you can see that it could be improved?
Maybe there are. But that's of course an old man's word, you know.
Well, that's what we're here for.
No, they got too many chiefs there. Not enough Indians. Right, that's my opinion. And I think if they would put one train through on most of your main tracks each way, each day. You don't have to stop at every, Longport Corners or Withee. They can stop, Chippewa Falls, Nolan, Spencer, or some of these places like that. That'd make a big difference. To hurry up that mill, especially your local mill. You wouldn't hurry your long distance mill, because that goes by air anyhow, whether you set air mill or not. So, that's just my opinion.
Well, that's it's the opinion. Sometimes it doesn't fall on deaf ears.
Well, we've talked about that many times to other people too.
Of course, our government has an awful lot of chiefs in it, and
Yes,
not that many
sure
Indians
do.
working.
Sure do.
Now, you've been in this community for a number of years, and you've partaken in some of the activities, and one of these that you've been a charter member of, and this is the Lions Club. Could you tell us maybe when this Lions Club started out and some of the things that they've done?
Well, yes, we had our 25th anniversary last fall. We started there in, I think it was August or September. We had our first meeting. I think it was 58. Anyways, 25 years ago. And one of the first things that we did at our second meeting, we had a state engineer come in here with the idea of promoting sewer system. Within 2 years, we had the sewer system. We had the village board present too, and just kept hounding on them until we got going. Within 2 years, we had the sewer system, which was a very good thing for the village. It really did help the village.
They didn't. People before that time did not have a sewer system here. It was strictly everybody had their own
septic tank. Yeah.
That really hasn't been that long ago.
No, it's not. It's less than 25 years ago since the sewer system was in. It was a mess while they was digging it up, of course. You don't remember that, do you?
No, this is before my time.
Yeah. And you had an awful wet fall that year. Ooh, it was wet fall.
What else have they done? I know there are lots of activities that they have taken part in. What are some of the other things that...
Well, we put that scoreboard up on the football field at schoolhouse. Lions did that 15 years ago or more. We...
down at the Withee school?
No, at the football field.
At the new,
at the new
school.
Field, yeah.
Okay.
So you know about how long that ago is. I suppose that's, 15 years ago? 15 years ago? Good 15 years ago.
Yeah, that would be probably, yeah.
And then, of course, then we built that public restroom over there with the park. With this new tennis court we've got over here now, we have invested over $75,000 in that park. And that's money that the good people of the area has contributed to our Withee days, and whatever else we've had.
Now you mentioned Withee days. Now this is, want to tell us a little bit about what these Withee days are and what...
Well, it's our Lions promotion. That's where we pick up our money for our projects which we do during the year. And we have a few of those. We've had musicals. You remember those. We've had a lot of fun with those. And now last year and again this year they're having the barber shoppers come in. We pick up a few nickels there, and that goes into the kitty. Now last year we spent over $6,000 on that tennis court, which is, we hope will be going this summer. Finally got blacked out. And we spent, we must have spent close to $5,000 on new playground equipment last year. We got some more. We expect to do some more this year. And there's always paint to buy for the. See, we turned that restroom over to the village, but and then they kind of look after it, and take care of it. But we still, paint it and stuff like that. Same way with the shelter. That's turned over to the village too. They kind of watch it, do like that, but we still paint it and maintain it and see that it's cleaned up a little bit like that. Well, that's good for us.
That's a nice park that they have maintained right in with these. It gives the children a place to play, and it's there's lots of nice playground equipment there, and people can have picnics, and it's a nice little spot for anybody that just wants to just go and sit in there in the summertime.
And it's used a lot. That's the best part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Used it. It's really surprising how much that park is used.
Now, another organization that you have belonged to, and I believe this next week you're going to be honored for 50 years in the Masons. Now, how did you happen to join them? And
Well, I suppose that was hereditary. By hereditary, I mean that my dad was a member. When he joined, I don't know exactly. It was somewhere between 1910 and 1915 in southern Minnesota. Then we moved up here, and he transferred his allegiance up here. So therefore, I also went in. I started in 1928. It took me 2 years because that was before I was married, of course. And there was some reason for that. I don't know exactly. But then I know Dagmar and I made many trips to Medford that the first 2 years to go up to old Dr. Patterson. You don't remember him, do you? Chiropractor up there. He sure did help me too. We made many and many trips, 2 or 3 times a week up there.
how big of an organization were the Masons at the time when you joined?
Well, I don't know exactly, but I would say it must have been between 60 to 75, maybe not that many. Good 60, I'm sure there were. We used to have dances 3, 4, 5 times during the winter time, you know. We used to have what was that big dance you used to have in the fall of the year? Didn't we used to have a big dance there in the fall of the year?
Yeah, it was around Halloween time.
Oh, yeah. And then we've had other dances during the year, too, of course, you know. There weren't the things to disturb you then there are now, television and so forth and so on, you know.
So this was quite a large social organization then to belong to at that time.
Well, it was in that sense the word, I suppose, yes. We didn't exactly feel that it was social, but you had your just like we're doing this year, you know, same thing.
It brought the people together and gave them something.
That's right.
Something to do
right.
with a nice fellowship. One of the other organizations that you belonged to, and this was, I don't call it organization, but the church. When you started, let's see, when would have joined the church here when you came?
1916, yes.
1916? Now, what was the language spoken?
Danish that time.
Did
all Danish.
Were you born and raised with the Danish language?
Yes.
So this was no problem?
No problem at all.
Do your children speak Danish?
No. They can speak a word or 2 or 3, but that's about all. Yeah, maybe about like you. That's about all you can speak in.
I know less than that.
You know less than that.
So this probably was the reason why the language was changed, rather than having Danish services all the time, where it was changed to English?
Because you know, other people who would like to take part in the fellowship up there, they couldn't understand it. It's foolish of them to come to church if you couldn't understand the language, what was said, or anywhere else. So that was the big reason.
And as mentioned also that if they married someone else that didn't understand the language, then half of that family was left out. Then.
Well, you couldn't get much fellowship there if you couldn't understand what was said, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know I couldn't.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Yes.
Was the size of the congregation about the size it is today, or do you think it was bigger or smaller?
No, it's bigger now.
Bigger now?
Oh, yeah.
What type of activities did the church have?
Well, I think we had more than we have now. Again, there you are. That was the center of everything the church was, more or less.
So gymnasium.
You what?
There was gymnasium.
Yeah. We had gymnastics, and we had
speakers and
we had a lot of
the speakers that you had. What type of subjects did they talk?
Oh, that could vary. That varied.
This was not necessarily a religious type of speaker.
Not always. You sang a song or two before and a song or two afterwards, but otherwise that's hardly what the speakers would speak about. But they spoke about various subjects. Not, like you say, not only.
Name a couple of what you might.
Yes. We had. I remember one time. Richard Nielsen's uncle was up here, and we had he had a lecture for us. Do you know what his theme was? I remember it as if it was today. He said it was about why should the 4-cylinder engine replace the horses. And you should have heard the discussion we had. I remember that as if it was today. And now that must be 45 years ago or more.
He was way ahead of his time then.
Well, but you would be surprised at the discussion about old V.S. Jensen says, thank you for the discussion because it was just what I wanted to hear you people talk. I remember that very distinctly. Yeah. And another, I remember another discussion which was in Danish at that time was on that song. I can tell you the Danish song, but I can't tell you it was about this. You maybe heard us sing that song about on a Saturday night, Saturday Love or something like that. It's a Danish song, and he spoke entirely on that. There's no religion about that. It was about this. I'll show it to you before you leave here sometime. I know where it is. It's translated too. But he spoke on that one. And then we used to have many district meetings around the country. We used to belong to the 5th district in the old Synod, the old Danish Synod. And we used to start on a Friday night and end up Sunday nights. We had a lot of fun and good times.
Did you go home and eat and do your chores and then come back, or?
And of course, people would come here from Minneapolis and from up here to Luck and from Haskell, Minnesota, and Dagmar, Montana was in our district too, and there was 2-3 in couple in Minnesota. Diamond Lake. No, Diamond Lake was not in it, and there was about a dozen congregations in this district from here out to there. Of course, they were rotated, so I've gone to many of those. Boy, I should remember some. It was a lot of fun. We used to have a lot of good discussions of church work. Some of the things you miss with by being enlarged.
Mm-hmm. Big is not always better. Now, I noticed that in the past few years you have acquired a few different hobbies than what you used to have. Tell us about some of those hobbies that you do now. For instance, it's getting almost that time of year where you're going to start getting out your pails and spiles and...
You are right. We have thought about it already too, and we are waiting for that day to come, and it's coming, and I do enjoy it. We've got our wood sawed, piled, covered up. Our spiles are down in the basement. Our grit is all sharpened up. Our pails are out in the barn. Now in about 3 weeks we'll start in.
We haven't mentioned what this is yet on this tape. You and I know what we're talking about.
Well, let's leave it that way, shall we?
20 years from now, they're going to wonder
they wonder what we were doing. Well, I suppose we could tell them. We like to make a little maple syrup once in a while, and it's kind of fun.
Now, how many years have you been doing this?
Since I retired, 13 years.
And where do you find your trees to do this with?
Right in town. We don't go to town. You don't even have to go to. We can get 3 times more than we can take care of right here in town.
So the trees in Withee are not strictly for beauty; they are also very practical type of tree here.
Yeah, they're all soft maples. Everybody says we can't make sap out of soft maples or syrup out of soft maples, but we surely can.
Sure tastes good on pancakes.
Just as good as it's not sweeter. It really is. Surprises you, but we enjoy it.
About how many gallons do you make a year?
Last year we made 30 gallons of syrup. And there's 3 of us, so we each got 10 gallons apiece.
Are the 3 of you all retired?
No, just 2 of us.
2 retired? And
2 of us pick it up and boil it, and then when Jim comes home from work, then he takes over, then he boils until he goes to bed at night. And then we start in the next morning at 6 o'clock, or before.
That's a good short time hobby. It gives you fresh air and something good to eat also.
And it's fun. Really fun to watch the buds come out in the trees and the grass get green. It's fun. A lot of fun.
It's nice to watch Mother Nature and what she's doing. Now you have another hobby too, and I believe that's golfing.
Yeah, I like to go.
About how long have we had the golf course here? Has it always been about the same place?
Same place, yeah. It's just been there about 50 years, give and take a year or 2.
I didn't realize we had a golf course that long.
Yeah.
How many of those 50 have you been golfing?
Well, Dagmar and I started a little bit after we married. We golfed for 2, 3, 4 years then, and then we did nothing more was done until the last, what?
Credit your longevity as far as living a pretty long life.
I have no idea, my lady. I don't know. I could tell you a story about it, but maybe I better not.